One of the biggest lies that we have been told about content and social media, and I hate that it took me this long to figure it out, but it's lead with value. That has been the biggest detriment to me showing up authentically and showing up like the real me. And I'll tell you why. I just listened to a podcast that completely rewired my brain chemistry, and I have to share with you, and hopefully it'll change the way you look at your content planning system like today. So Grace Andrews used to work at Diary of a CEO. It got me thinking about how we do everything wrong in content creation. Everything she said really spoke to me, and it finally clicked, and I spent literally 6 or 7 hours brainstorming and planning this out for myself. So today in this video, I'm gonna walk you through my Notion system based on that conversation and how you can show up differently so that you're not acting like everybody else in your industry and you're standing out. Instead of looking at other podcasts and creators, they looked outside of the industry. Most people look this way and they compare themselves to their competition, and they looked at all the other industries in the world, like the movie industry, that have people hooked for 2 or 3 hours at a time to watch a movie. How are they promoting their movies? And they were one of the first people to do that. They were one of the first audio podcasts to officially go video. They were also one of the first to start using shorts to promote their podcast. You guys, I think I just signed on my first official client. I'm so excited. Your girl's moving on up in the world. I'm really excited to say I'm officially open for business. Now, I had to get on here pretty late, but I have to say this. Leading with value has always meant education. If you look at all the big names, their entire job is to challenge the status quo. How do you become a disruptor? You have to talk differently. The only way to talk differently is to approach it like you're trying to change people's minds every day. But every piece of content that you have is the center goal around it is to change some kind of belief that they have. It got me thinking. We need to start thinking like producers when we create content. Guys, when I tell you, that completely changed everything for me. You're competing with the fact that anybody can have information at their fingertips like that. So you need to connect with people. You need to build a community. You need to build a relationship. And you do that through connecting on a human level. The only way to do that is to stop thinking about content in the way everybody else is. So I took that perspective and approach, and I completely restructured my current content planning system in Notion. I use Notion all the time. I love the flexibility of this program, and it keeps me really organized. I've gone through several iterations of a content planning system. This one seems to be one of my favorites so far. If you guys want the template, you just gotta comment down below and let me know. I'm gonna highlight and target 3 different areas in my content planning system to give you an idea of how I'm applying that same production company, that movie perspective into my content planning, and why it works for me and how it makes content easier, but also helps you stand out and makes you sound different. The first thing you'll see, I always have a nice little quote. Today is going to be a great day. No one does it like you, so stop overthinking. It doesn't need to be perfect, just real, so start creating. We're going to come back to the upcoming posts section. The first part is your strategy. It used to be called content pillars, and now it's my narrative engine. It's the story of my life, my teachings, my lessons, the things that my clients are going through, and I'm bringing that all together. I changed from content pillars to more of a value-based pillar. The reason I did that is because I noticed that when I wrote down social media content as a pillar, I was having a really hard time being creative with the kind of ideas that I was coming up with. So strategy that stands out, content that moves. It's not just content creation or social media content. It's anything that talks about moving people with your content, being different, connecting emotionally, building a community. That kind of thing will live in content that moves as a pillar. I put together a weekly content pattern to keep me aligned. Every Monday, I'm going to put this type of content out. Every Tuesday, I'm going to put this out. And most of these are tied to series, which is my second point. I love this idea of combining this whole movie production media brand with content creation. If we're going to go with that same theme of being a production company, storytelling, and changing people's perspective, we need to have a writer's room. I imagine everybody in this one really small room around this huge circular table, and they're all giving their thoughts and ideas on the next episode that they're going to create, and they're just spitting out crazy ideas, right? But it has to follow the story. It has to follow what comes next in the series. And that's the point of the writer's room. This is only for series developments. From the very beginning, I think of one series, and can jot down like 5 ideas for that series and then go to the next series and do the same. And that way it flows together. I have a little page, I call it strategy ideas. And in there, I can jot down what those series are about. When I come here, these are actual videos. Not every video idea goes in the writer's room, just the video ideas that are part of a series. And that's where all of the creativity happens. I have very specific days, like on Monday, it's strategy day, and that's when I sit down and do the writer's room and I develop some series ideas. But all in all, the narrative engine, the strategy section only happens like once a month. The other thing before we move on is the way I phrase this column, hook, thoughts, lessons, and stories. This used to just be called ideas. Ideas doesn't get my brain rolling, doesn't give me inspiration. I was thinking about this like a journal. That was a really big shift for me to try to think about storytelling in that way. The ideation hub is literally where like one-off situations happen. If I see some kind of video or podcast, or I'm walking the dog and a thought comes to my head, I can come in here really quickly, create new posts, and then jot down the thoughts. And I'll come back and refine it later. This was the original that I had, and I still keep this because not everything is a series, right? The next part of this is once I create an idea, I automatically put it under the production stage as to be scheduled, and it's yellow. To be scheduled automatically will be filtered down here. This is my scheduling center. These are all the videos that haven't really fully been fleshed out yet. I may not even use some of these, and if I decide later on I'm just gonna trash it or archive it. And from here, I can just drag and drop onto my calendar so I can see exactly how much I've got going for me that week if it's really overwhelming to have multiple things posted. Like this week, I'm gonna have to update this because I'm not honoring this. I'm not going to get this YouTube video out because I'm filming it right now. But you can see all content, and then you can break it up by platform so that it's really easy to organize your thoughts. And the third thing that I want to talk about is my upcoming post and my production line. Now that it's on the calendar, it's official. It has to go out that day, meaning that now I have to put time in to write the script if it needs a script, design the images, edit, film, all that stuff. And that goes into the production. I make sure that I have that video idea fleshed out. A couple things that I started adding after I saw that podcast was persona. I've noticed a pattern with people that are authority figures and disruptors in their space. I'm talking about the big names that everyone has heard of, right? He directly came out and said that every single part of my vlog speaks to one of my 4 personas. That helped me in organizing my vlog so that I'm creating value to every single person directly because you know who you're talking to. And narrative message. This one was interesting. I'm forcing myself for every single piece of content. Before the video is created, I need to ask myself, what specific belief am I trying to shift with this piece of content? Because again, if you want to be a disruptor, a leader in your industry, the first of many, you want to be the one changing their minds about something. Sometimes I have to sit and think about it like, I don't know what the belief I'm changing is. I think putting that in is forcing me to like think differently about my content. Now these are cool because they're little boards. I can drag and drop these wherever I want. Most of the stuff is just going to fall under text and script, because that's just kind of the default right now. And then once I say, okay, now I'm seriously working on this, I move it down the line. I'm a visual person, so it's really helpful to see that transition here. Upcoming posts are things that are happening within the week. All of that stuff that's down in the production line is technically here now. I've just changed visually how I see it. The nice thing is I can visually come here and I put this little check for complete. So throughout the week, I can say, okay, this one's done, this one's done, this one's done. But other than that, I use it once a month, or I change it once a month. So then most of it really ends up happening in this upcoming post. Like this is what I'm changing and updating every day, or however often I'm working on content. Everything else is a weekly thing. With every video that I listen to, I get more and more inspired to make changes, and I'm experimenting. One of the big things I learned from Stephen Bartlett, what is one thing every day or every week that you can do differently? And it may fail, it may be a total flop. it may work, right? I'm trying to experiment with how I'm talking to you guys, the things I'm sharing, the way I present things. And I really do hope that it clicks and it's something that you can apply. And one final note before I let you go, I want you to think long and hard about where you are pulling your content ideas and your inspiration from. Everyone talks about leading with value. Provide value. Don't make content that doesn't have value. I always thought that means I have to educate. I'm going to see a lot of content creators talking about marketing and I get sucked into their content. But at the end of the day, there is a very big difference in how a content creator presents themselves and how a personal brand like Gary Vee or Grace Andrews or Stephen Bartlett, even Ali Abdaal, all of these people have a very different way that they talk to you. And there's a reason why they're the top of the top, because they break through in that way. There always needs to be this way that you're changing people's thoughts and patterns and perspectives, because if you can change someone's belief, they are yours forever, and you can build a community with that. I've had to really analyze that for myself and say, okay, who do I want to really be like? Who do I get the most inspiration from? I don't know. I'm starting to be way more motivated by that. Most of my inspiration comes from me taking a walk, clearing my head, being off of my laptop. That's where the thoughts come. When I'm watching or listening to a really good podcast and they have so many good nuggets to share that I literally take out my notebook and start writing them down, that's when you know you're inspired, and that's when it becomes fun again. It becomes fun to share your content, and at the end of the day, I guess that's what makes me feel a purpose. I haven't been connected to that in a really long time. So I'm going to put those video links down below. Go watch the podcast. I hope you're just as inspired as I was. I hope this content planning system was helpful. Let me know if there's any questions down below. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.